No, let me say my angle and what we debated is related to the role of private equity investor within the business of football. I believe that private equity is not the only solution, but private equity could help because in this moment in the financial market, there is a huge amount of money available, and private equity are a great tool basically to push money coming from investor into different business, and football could be one of the target. But to be successful, we need to have in mind, let me say, two things. The first one is that private equity is not magic. Private equity means investment, and investment is related to a certain holding period. So it's quite important to understand when a football team starts talking with a private equity investor, what is the perspective of investment of the private equity investor? Is 2 years, 3 years, is 10 years? It's quite important to agree what is the perspective. And the other aspect is related to the fact that private equity investors work on two different components. The one is the EBITDA growth, and could be very healthy for some football team to have an improvement of EBITDA, because it means not only more revenues, but a more efficient management of costs, higher quality of management, components that are absolutely healthy. And the other aspect is related to multiples. So investors decided to invest because they believe that multiples could increase. If you accept these rules, wrong or right, I'm not here to say wrong or right, but wrong or right, makes sense the marriage between private equity investors and football teams.
I will profit about investors, but it's really different in Premier League. You know, we're seeing a lot of properties of Qatar, of Emirates, and La Liga Spagnola and Serie A Italiana. So how is possible equalize these conditions?
I'm not an expert of football. I'm a fan. I'm very passionate, but I'm a finance person. Let me say, compared to other business, there is something which is always the same in all the business. If a business is going to improve, generating more value, more impact, this is a benefit for all. It's the same problem when we talk about how could happen competition between large corporates and small corporates. It happens because if we have larger corporates, more efficient, with better quality of management, this is very helpful also for a smaller company. I know in football could be complex, but I believe that a more professional management of bigger teams could represent an example also for smaller teams. I see this kind of link. The other aspect that I believe is quite important is that whatever is the solution of football, the chemistry, and again, I'm not an expert in football, but what I can say is that what is needed is a dramatic jump in improvement of managerial model, is fundamental. Without very robust, consistent managerial model, became very difficult to manage whatever kind of business. And in my opinion, there is also an issue of education. There is a sense of responsibility. We debate, I talk as a supporter, not as an expert, of this issue to multiply the number of matches and so on. I understand, I don't understand long term. Okay, I don't understand long term. In short term, is a very, let me say, quick answer to the need to generate more revenues. Is not sustainable at all. But the answer, in my opinion, we need more education also for football player, for younger player, because one of the way to try, let me say, to manage the issue of sustainability of salaries, the answer is related first to link with revenues, like in all the business in the world, if we consider it is a business. If we say it's not, I say game over and we play in another way. And the other aspect is a matter of education. I believe that the pressure on salaries can be managed if a football player has much more a perspective on what could be his or her perspective long term. And the answer is education, is support. So I think it's a responsibility of football team to help their human capital to understand what could be their perspective long term.